Welcome to the Alcohol Reset, the podcast that helps you reset your habits, health, and relationship with alcohol without judgment or extremes. If you're looking to cut back, take a break, or just understand how drinking can affect your body and mind, you're in the right place. Each episode brings you science-backed insights on neuroscience, nutrition, and habit change to help you feel better, sleep deeper, and take control on your terms. I'm Mike Hardenbrook, best-selling author, neuroscience enthusiast, and habit change expert. I've helped thousands through my book and podcast to rethink their drinking, and now I'm here to help you do the same. Let's get started. Okay, let's start with a little thought experiment. Just for you, answer this honestly. Imagine this. Tomorrow, alcohol doesn't disappear. It's still there, legal, available on the shelf. But wow, and this is the important part, as a social thing, it just vanishes. Completely gone. So suddenly, no more work happy hours, no bottomless brunches, none of that require cheers at weddings. And absolutely nobody else in your circle is pouring a drink. Nobody. Would you still pour one just for yourself? It sounds like a simple question, right? But for a lot of us, the answer gets really complicated really fast. And that complication, that's exactly what we need to dig into today. Because what we're seeing, what the studies suggest, is that for a huge number of people, drinking isn't mainly about the taste. It's not even really truly about the chemical effect or relaxation. It is fundamentally about connection. It's about belonging. It's about getting that social validation. Now, this conversation isn't about telling anyone what to do. Not at all. It's about giving you some awareness. Because alcohol, well, it's become this kind of silent social contract for modern adults, like the pre-written script for how we celebrate, how we deal with stress, how we network, how we bond. And when we start to really look at why we reach for that drink, especially when other people are around, that gives you some real power over how you choose to live and, how you choose to drink. Okay, so let's get into the psychology of it. The group thing. Why do we feel this magnetic pull to join in when everyone else is doing it? Well, the first big piece is what some people call the social script. We are constantly, often without even realizing it, being programmed. Programmed to see drinking as just normal, the standard way adults hang out. This starts early. Think back to college, maybe. And it carries right through into the modern workplace, the office environment. It's the established way, often unspoken, to signal, hey, I'm part of this, I fit in. The key idea here is social conformity, and this is where it gets really interesting, I think. Your brain, its absolute top priority from an evolutionary standpoint, is keeping you accepted by the group. Survival, right? So wanting to belong isn't a weakness. You're literally wired for it. And studies actually show that when we align our behavior with the group, even on really small, trivial stuff, there's actual activation in the brain's reward centers. Now, the nucleus accumbens, specifically. What that means is your brain literally gives you a small chemical reward, a little hit of satisfaction, just for conforming, just for fitting in. It's like an internal high five for not sticking out, for mirroring the group. And this programming, this script, leads right into the second point, something I call the dopamine illusion. This one is kind of mind-bending because it separates the act of drinking from the feeling you get. Think about walking into a party, a bar, any social gathering where drinking is the norm, the expectation. Your brain starts releasing dopamine before you even take the first sip, before a drop touches your lips. Why? Because your brain links that environment, the shared laughter, the vibe, the expectation of connection, the energy. It links all that with fun and safety and excitement. So that initial wave of feeling good, that buzz you feel walking in, that's not the alcohol. Not yet. It's the psychological anticipation, the anticipation of belonging, of connection, the drink itself when it finally comes. It just acts as the physical confirmation of that social script we talked about. It's the ritual reinforcing the feeling, not necessarily the chemical creating it right at the start. Okay, so if conformity is the carrot, the reward, then the stick, the thing really driving this, is the fear of standing out. We kind of joke about being hungover, right? Oh, I shouldn't have. But honestly, many people are way more scared of that immediate awkward feeling. You know the one? Being the only sober person in the room. That really uncomfortable awkwardness we try so hard to avoid. That's just a deep primal fear of social rejection kicking in. And we know this fear is one of the absolute strongest psychological drivers we have. Just the thought of having to explain why you're not drinking. Feeling those slightly judgy questions sometimes. Are you sick? Are you driving? Oh, come on, just have one. What's wrong? Often, just thinking about that is enough to make you cave. To just say, oh, you know what, fine, pour me one. The psychological cost of saying no right in that moment, it feels way higher than the potential physical or emotional cost later on. But we need to talk about the hidden cost here. The cost of drinking. Just to keep things smooth, just to fit in. This is where it can get a bit uncomfortable to look at. The more we lean on alcohol as our tool for acceptance, for conformity, the further we tend to drift from who we actually are. It shows up as this kind of quiet loss of self. You start making these small compromises, things you might not even notice at first. Maybe saying yes to plans you really didn't want to go to just because, well, everyone's going. You got to be part of the crew. Staying out way later than you wanted when your body's screaming for rest, finding yourself laughing along to stuff you don't actually find funny, or nodding along in conversations you're not into, all just to keep up that appearance of effortlessly belonging. And the long-term impact. If this becomes the pattern, you lose practice just being the version of yourself who doesn't need that chemical crutch to feel confident or connected or even just relaxed in a group. You don't build up that social muscle memory for managing anxiety or finding your own enthusiasm without that external prompt. You can start to lose faith in your ability to just be interesting or acceptable or fun exactly as you are. So the real goal here, the mission, is reclaiming that authentic self, finding that internal confidence again. And it really starts with asking yourself one powerful, really actionable question. Be honest with yourself here. Do I actually like drinking, or do I just like what drinking represents? Now, if you genuinely enjoy the taste, the ritual, maybe pairing it with food, hey, that's a conscious choice. That's totally fine. But if you start to recognize that maybe the drink is functioning more like a stand-in, a shortcut to things you actually need, like real rest or relief from stress or that feeling of genuine belonging, then we know there are better ways, healthier, more direct ways to get those needs met. For a lot of people, that intense social pressure, that feeling of almost being on stage when you walk into a room, that's often tied directly to high levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. When cortisol's high, your brain is just on edge, constantly scanning. It makes social stuff feel overwhelming, demanding, exhausting. And that's often the real reason people reach for something like alcohol, a depressant. It turned down that internal stress volume. So how do we help the brain feel naturally calm and confident, even in those high-energy situations? Without needing that external cue, we could look at optimizing our own internal chemistry, supporting our natural systems. One approach that comes up is using adaptogenic support, things that specifically target that stress response. For example, ashwagandha. It's an adaptogen, meaning it helps your body adapt to stress. And there's research showing it can help lower those baseline cortisol levels. So if you can turn down that background noise of stress, that intense social pressure doesn't feel quite so overwhelming. It makes it way easier to confidently say no thanks to a drink, or just engage with people feeling more like your authentic, calmer self. And what about that feel-good drive? The motivation, the focus that makes socializing feel easy and fun. Well, that relies heavily on your internal dopamine production. When we feel kind of sluggish or unmotivated, yeah, alcohol can give a temporary external boost, but supporting that process naturally is really key. We can help our brains achieve those positive, motivated states by making sure we have the building blocks. Supporting this with something like L-Tyrosine, for instance. It's an amino acid, a precursor to dopamine. It basically helps your brain create its own focus and drive, organically. It ensures your own chemistry is working for you, helping you manage social stress and motivation naturally, so you maybe don't feel the need for that external crutch. This isn't about replacing one thing with another exactly. It's about providing natural support for the systems you already have. Look, this whole exploration today, it's really for you if you've been thinking about moderation, or if you feel that familiar, awkward pit in your stomach when you think about saying no in a social setting. Or maybe you're just tired of automatically having a drink just because, well, everyone else is doing it. And drinking isn't automatically bad. This isn't about judgment, not at all. But drinking just for social conformity, that might be taking more from you, your energy, your authentic connections, your confidence, than it's actually giving back. When you start seriously asking yourself that first question, would I still drink if no one else did? That's when you begin to uncover your real reasons, your true motivations, and that right there is where genuine freedom and real, unshakable confidence truly begin. So start asking that question today. I'm Mike Hardenbrook, and thanks for exploring this with me. That's a wrap for today's episode. If you got something out of this, do me a quick favor, leave a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. It helps keep the show going and would mean the world to me. Got ideas, comments, or questions? Shoot me an email at mike@trycloud9.com. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're looking for extra support, check out Cloud9, makers of Daily Restore, a once-a-day supplement to support your body from alcohol's effects, and Rise and Unwind AM/PM, a 24-hour combo to curb cravings, balance mood, and improve sleep when taking a break. Go to trycloud9.com and use the code PODCAST to save 15% on your next order. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.